office, and we will have the Attorney General, Matthew Plackett. Those will be the three speakers. They'll all be available for questions afterwards. And there is the live stream if any of you need it for anything later. The press release will be up on the website momentarily. Did I miss anything? Anything else we need to cover? All right, now we have this weird gap of open seats in the middle. All good. If anybody wants to move further up forward, please feel free to do so. All right, we'll make sure everybody's good, and we'll be down in a couple minutes. Nope, they're going to stand.
to Lieutenant Governor and Secretary of State Tahisha Wei.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Just get my notes. I'm New Jersey Lieutenant Governor Tahisha Wei, and since 2018, I have also served as New Jersey's chief election official in my capacity as Secretary of State. It is my responsibility to oversee the administration of free and fair elections, working with our partners in law enforcement and security to protect our voters, election workers, and of course, our democracy. My role is also to support voter education, to speak trust in our elections and how they are conducted by ensuring the public has the information they need to understand and to participate. Our vote is the most fundamental and consequential right we hold as Americans, so we urge every eligible New Jersey voter to vote, and I want to direct every voter to vote.NJ.GOV, our state's official portal, to learn more about being a New Jersey voter and making your plan to vote. I want to also note many New Jersey voters are already casting their ballots. More than 1 million people requested mail-in ballots, and an estimated 550,000 have returned them to their county boards, to one of our county's secure ballot drop boxes, or through the mail. Now, if you still have your VBM, I want to urge you to return it to one of your county's drop boxes or in person to your county board of elections at this time, because the election is coming close, and while we have had a good working relationship with USPS, I actually had a call with the U.S. Postal Master, DeJoy, and we both, had a good conversation doing our due diligence. We nonetheless understand the timeliness of this election and that there couldn't be some mail delay. So do drop your county vote by mail, into the county drop box or the Board of Elections. I also want to note that I officially do not have a preference to how to vote. But as a voter, I've chosen to vote early in every election since it became available in 2021. And I think more New Jersey voters should be choosing to vote early. Now, when it comes to voting, we each make our choices as individuals, but administering our elections is a team effort. My team and I work closely with our partners from local and county officials to state-level colleagues joining us today, such as AG Platkin and Director Duran, to our federal counterparts at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, better known as CISA, not the singer, the U.S. Postal Service, and of course the FBI. We work to coordinate information, resources, and support across these offices. We plan for physical and cybersecurity of our election infrastructure. We support the operations and security of early voting and election day polling locations, voting equipment, and the election workers within. We work with the counties to ensure the security of hundreds of ballot drop boxes. We have systems in place to protect the integrity of our mail-in ballots and the rights of voters. And because New Jersey has elections every single year, this isn't just the work of a few months. We have dedicated civil servants working to administer elections throughout the year. And right after the work of this election on November 5th concludes, planning for the next election cycle begins. And during the early voting period and on Election Day, they are aided by thousands of your fellow New Jerseyans as poll workers, helping every New Jersey voter cast their ballot freely and fairly. I want to note that some counties are continuing to recruit poll workers for Election Day. So if you're available and want to help, please go to pollworker.nj.gov to apply. We stand before you today to share information about how our elections work and how we protect them, because a fundamental part of election integrity is having the public understand and trust the process. It is dangerous to our democracy when voters believe, mis, or disinformation about how our elections are conducted. We live in a nation where many generations of people had to fight for and demand their right to vote. And when we allow wrong information about our elections to undermine our confidence in the process, our trust in democracy and each other, that's a form of voter suppression. So I'm calling upon New Jersey voters to do your part and know how to find the correct information by seeking out trusted sources. When it comes to elections, that's me, my team at the Division of Elections, my colleagues, and our county election official partners specifically. You can follow us on social media, follow NJ Votes, reshare information you find valuable or helpful. If you have questions or concerns, you can reach out to us at the State Voter Hotline. That's 1-877-NJ-VOTER, or email the Division of Elections at nj.elections@sos.nj.gov. I'm going to be a broken record here. Please go to vote.nj.gov. Beyond everything you need to know about where, when, and how to be a voter, you can also track your mail-in ballot to see when your county receives and processes it. We even have sections on our website devoted to identifying and not falling prey to deepfakes, AI, and other forms of disinformation. To report suspicious or misleading election information, please email us again at info@sos.nj.gov. And while you're on our website, you can also find all the contact information for your county election officials. Please know them. They are on the front lines of our democracy, and they should be your first call if you have a question about your own ballot or a concern about something you've seen or heard. Now, if you choose to vote on November 5th, if you are in line to vote at 8 p.m., you will be allowed to vote. But please, please do not wait until the last moment. Mail-in voting, as I mentioned, is happening now. Early voting begins this Saturday, October 26th, through November 3rd. You don't have to wait until November 5th to have your voice heard. Once the polls close, results will be available first at the county level. I want to remind everyone that the primary job for our county officials is to carefully and methodically process, count, and report the results of the elections. And they will do so in a manner that comports with the law. On election night, we can expect that the counties will report the total number of early votes and election day votes. They will also share details about the number of voting machines and equipment deployed across early voting and election day polling places. They will also share the number of mail-in ballots issued and received into the statewide voter registration system, the mail-in ballots that have been tallied, and those that remain to be processed. For every subsequent day, the counties will report all remaining ballots to be counted and tallied until all eligible ballots have been counted. Now, know that under New Jersey state law, ballots postmarked on or before Election Day can arrive through November the 12th to be counted. Mailed ballots without a postmark can be counted as long as they arrive on or before November the 7th. While we urge every voter using a mail-in ballot to closely follow ballot instructions, which is vote, sign, seal, return, voters who otherwise properly voted their ballot but failed to sign it or whose signature is inconsistent from the one on file will be given until November the 16th to cure that error. All this is to say that in some cases where an election comes down to a small number of votes, we may not know the results on election night or in the days that follow. Understand and remember that it is in the best interest of all of us to have the most accurate and timely reports of results as possible within the time frames available. So with that being said, I now want to welcome my dear colleague in this work, our Attorney General, Matt Placken, back to talk about the work his office does to ensure the integrity of our elections. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and thank you all again for joining us today. I have to just take a moment to commend Lieutenant Governor Way and her team in her role, as we were just talking now, almost 7 years as Secretary of State. She's worked tirelessly to ensure that New Jersey voters are able to vote and can be confident in the outcome of our elections. And I have to say, I've witnessed it firsthand, been a tireless advocate to expand access to the ballot, to make it easier to vote in this state. She's overseen some of the most consequential elections in our state's history, including all of the COVID elections, some of the first all mail-in ballot elections, the 2020 presidential election, the 2021 gubernatorial, the 2022 midterms, and so many other elections during her tenure. And she's established high standards and maintained the integrity of our elections process from voting through the end of vote tabulation. So on behalf of all New Jerseyans, I cannot thank her and her team enough for the leadership that they have displayed in ensuring that everyone's vote can and will be counted. I also want to thank our partners at the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, in particular its director, you're going to hear from in a moment, Director Lori Duran, for her and their efforts to protect the integrity of our elections and ensure the safety of our residents. Through OHSP's, which you're going to hear more about, first-class cybersecurity office and its collaboration across federal, state, and local law enforcement partners, they keep voters, our election officials, and our election infrastructure, which is critical, safe. Some of these law enforcement partners are here today, and I want to thank them, as well as all of the law enforcement officers throughout our state who keep all 9.3 million residents of our state safe 365 days of the year, but particularly when it comes to securing the safety of our elections, I want to thank them. So my message is simple today, and it's going to echo a lot of what you just heard from the Lieutenant Governor, which is that you need to vote. We want you to vote. Please get out and vote, and know that your vote is safe and secure. As the late, great John Lewis said, your vote is precious, almost sacred. It is the most powerful, nonviolent tool we have to create a more perfect union. Now, here in New Jersey, we strive every day to do just that and to pursue the ideal of a more perfect union. And together, Lieutenant Governor Way and I, along with Director Duran, are committed to ensuring that every voter in our state is able to cast their ballot and make their voices heard. This is a foundational component of our democratic process. And from my perspective as the chief law enforcement officer of this state, the work to secure free and fair elections happens on several fronts. First, and several of these attorneys are here today, and I want to thank them. Literally hundreds of attorneys throughout the Division of Law in the Department of Law and Public Safety will be working shifts to answer emerging questions from our county boards and superintendents of elections to ensure that all eligible voters can cast their ballots quickly, freely, and fairly in accordance with New Jersey's election laws. These lawyers work around the clock, beginning the moment early voting begins on October 26th to well after polls close on November the 5th. And they continue working after the polls close to ensure that we can resolve any questions that may arise. Second, and I want folks to understand this, My office has a dedicated and separate group of staff, including attorneys, working exclusively on voter protection. In 2022, I implemented the state's first ever voter protection initiative within our Division on Civil Rights, and our director and his team are here today, Sandeep Iyer. This initiative that we created a couple years ago and has expanded in subsequent elections focuses on identifying and addressing any voting rights or civil rights violations that may occur during the voting process. This includes potential violations of the New Jersey Civil Rights Act or the law against discrimination, whether they arise during early voting or on Election Day. The Voter Protection Initiative works collaboratively with our community partners and stakeholders to identify and proactively address voting access issues for a simple reason, because every voter in every city and every town in our state should have free and equal access to their polling places. Third, New Jersey law enforcement agencies across the state are working together to secure the right to vote and to protect voters from any form of intimidation or harassment. Every voter, and I want to be clear about this, as the Lieutenant Governor said, every voter, regardless of who you're voting for, should be able to enter and leave their polling place freely, and every voter should be able to similarly approach and access ballot drop boxes without fear of interference. Election interference of any kind, whether it be related to mail-in ballots, early voting, Election Day voting, or the vote tabulation process, will not be tolerated in New Jersey. This includes, and this is important given what we've seen across the country, any efforts to harass poll workers or harass or intimidate voters, as well as any effort to electioneer in or just outside of the polling places. Intimidation can take many forms, and it can be anything from groups standing outside of polling places attempting to scare people away to making violent threats against voters or poll workers. Anyone who attempts to interfere with the voting machines or ballots should be prepared to face harsh consequences for doing so. In addition, state and local law enforcement are monitoring online and real-world activity, as well as conditions leading up to Election Day that might affect our elections, and they're prepared to provide emergency help at a polling site if they are asked to do so. And I can't stress this enough. Anyone who attempts to violate our election laws will be prosecuted. Obstructing or interfering when a voter is casting their constitutional right to vote is illegal, period, and we will hold you accountable if you violate it. And finally, I want to echo something that the Lieutenant Governor and I have been very vocal about over the past several weeks. I want to issue a word of caution. There are bad actors out there, and the Director knows this well, often originating outside of this country, who do not have the interest of upholding our nation's democratic institutions. And they are spreading misinformation and disinformation to deliberately mislead voters. So each of us, I'm asking you, must be vigilant about the information that we share. Deepfakes, as the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, which are fake or manipulated photos, audio, or text, or video clips, may at first appear to be real, and they become increasingly common. And it only takes just a few seconds of someone's voice to create a deepfake. So we're asking you, turn to verified sources to make sure that you're accessing the latest and most reliable voting information. And that includes, as the Secretary and Lieutenant Governor said, her website at vote.NJ.GOV, as well as my office's website, NJOAG.GOV. Now, as the Lieutenant Governor said, please remember, if you're voting by mail, which I want to underscore is safe and secure to do so, please vote early. Return your ballot today by mailing it back, by placing it in one of your county's secure ballot drop boxes, or by returning it to your County Board of Elections office. If you prefer heading to the polls, as Lieutenant Governor Way said, early voting begins on Saturday, October 26th, and runs through Sunday, November 3rd. Now, I will tell you, I will be voting early, as we do most election cycles, in no small part because my son loves that one of the early voting sites is our zoo. So voting is very popular in our house, as is going to the zoo after voting. But wherever you choose to vote, take advantage of the many ways that are now available to you to vote securely in this state and make a plan to vote. And most importantly, however you choose to vote, you should feel safe and secure and have faith and confidence in our election systems. Should you encounter any difficulty or any attempts to interfere with the voting process, do not hesitate to call the New Jersey Voter Assistance Hotline at 1-877-NJ-VOTER. That's 1-877-658-6837. And this hotline can connect you with the latest voting information as well as to the county Board of Elections in your particular county. And if you have been subject or feel you have been subject to any form of discrimination or harassment while exercising your right to vote, please call the Division on Civil Rights hotline, which is 1-800-277-BIAS. That's 1-800-277-2427, and you can file a report, which I promise you we have a team of folks ready to look at and investigate. The right to vote, as I said, is one of our most sacred rights and one of our most sacred responsibilities as Americans. And I urge you to exercise that right in every state, local, and federal election. So don't forget, get out there and vote, and trust that when you do so, your vote will be counted and it will be safe and secure. I'm now pleased to turn the podium over to the Director of the Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness, Lori Duran.
Thank you, Attorney General and Lieutenant Governor. Again, I'm Lori Duran, and I'm the Director of the New Jersey Office of Homeland Security and Preparedness. And it's my pleasure to be here today and talk about this extremely important topic of election security. In today's rapidly evolving threat environment, ensuring the security of our elections is not just a priority, it's a necessity for preserving our democratic system. Unfortunately, over the last decade, due to threats to U.S. elections have proliferated. You know what I mean? Okay. Mostly in the cyber realm, but also regarding physical targets such as elected officials and election-related facilities. As befits our name, NJOAG.GOV's role in our state election framework is to identify and mitigate threats related to the election, whether physical or cyber-related, or whether international or domestic in origin. Today, I want to provide a snapshot of the comprehensive efforts undertaken up to this point by NJOAG and numerous partners to help safeguard the 2024 election season in New Jersey. I'm fortunate that I'm joined by several of those members here today on the federal side, as well as from other partners. Currently, there are I also want to state right up front, currently there are no known or specific threats to New Jersey, the public, election facilities, or election officials. Our focus during the pre-election day period remains on prevention and preparedness and to maintain a secure election environment. This is a year-round effort, as mentioned by the Lieutenant Governor, but OHSP has doubled down in our efforts to collaborate with federal partners and state partners, such as the New Jersey State Police, the New Jersey Regional Intelligence and Operations Center, to stay abreast of any election-related threat streams and enhance information sharing and preparedness, around the state. County election officials have undergone extensive training in both cyber and physical threat awareness, with an emphasis on threat detection and response protocols to a variety of scenarios. Also, since 2018, we've been conducting physical security risk assessments across county election facilities and have engaged with all 21 counties, completely approximately 50 physical security assessments of election-related infrastructure. Turning to the early voting and election day itself, OHSP's New Jersey Cybersecurity and Communications Integration Cell, which is a big word here, but the NJKIC, as most of you probably know it as will lead the efforts of the NJ Election Security Task Force, which will come to serve as the central coordination center and point for election security efforts and information sharing. The NJ Election Security Task Force ensures seamless collaboration across all levels of government, from federal partners such as the FBI and DHS's Homeland Security, Cybersecurity, and Infrastructure Security Agency, otherwise known as CISA, as well as state partners such as the Secretary of State's Office, the New Jersey Division of Election, and the State Police, to all 21 counties and many municipal public safety officials. This is crucial in providing comprehensive awareness and support at every level. Furthermore, by sharing information and coordinating responses, we're protecting critical infrastructure and ensuring public safety against evolving cyber and physical threats. Our collaboration and the use of cutting-edge technology and tools provides a comprehensive approach to safeguarding our democratic process. The New Jersey Election Security Task Force is a national model for election security and cannot fulfill its mission without the outstanding partnership and teamwork that all of the partners are showing in this endeavor. Post-election day, the task force will continue to monitor the election process in New Jersey, and OHSP, along with all of our federal, state, county, and local partners, will continue our steady state mission to identify and mitigate threats that may present themselves. We encourage everyone to remain vigilant, and I would be remiss if I didn't say, if you see something, say something, by reporting potential threat-related suspicious activity to a local law enforcement or to NJOAG.GOV's Counter Threat Watch by calling 866-4SAFE-NJ or emailing tips@NJOAG.GOV. Vigilance is crucial to our security. Together, we're committed to ensuring every vote is secure and every voter is confident in the election's integrity. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Director Duran. I have to say, Director Duran's team at Homeland Security has been phenomenal in supporting and partnering with my phenomenal team at the Division of Elections. And Attorney General, I guess I can't tell my 10-year-old who I take to the library where you go to the zoo, because she'll be somewhat upset. But at this time, we would like to open it up to any questions out there. Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Governor, and it's also for the AG and Maureen Grant as well. Could you guys talk about if there's anything different this year than in previous years in terms of the type of efforts that you're making to ensure integrity and security, specifically anything this year? And just one more time, I know you've all said it, but what's the simple, direct way for somebody who thinks there's a problem or knows there's a problem to take action? What should they do? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. If I may start this off. I just want everyone to understand that this administration in 2018, right, has always had election security and integrity top of mind. So with that being said, we have had various exercises, tabletop drills in partnership with our local, our state, even our federal partners. I see the CISA folk are here just to ensure the integrity of every single election is carried through. That means from our federal races, every year New Jersey has state races, and of course our local races, school board races, and of course even the fire district races. So while we continue to ensure that our county partners double down and update their continuity of operation plans, you know, the mission is always going to be the same. Just making sure that there is access, making sure that there's full collaboration, that they are provided the necessary resources and supports for each and every single election. So election integrity, again, will always be our mission. We want our voters to understand and have confidence that they know that New Jersey's election system is run safely and security. I don't know, Director Duran, if you would like to add anything else.
Sure. Basically, I mean, because a lot of what we do in our agency is cybersecurity, and one of the things that I talk about a lot in our organization is as the threats evolve, we have to evolve, and that also includes cybersecurity. So please know that as things evolve, especially in the cybersecurity arena, we are very much on top of keeping up with those new trends on what's happening in that world, and with that, we adjust accordingly and work very closely with all of our partners. CISA especially is a very close partner with us in helping us in that regard, and the FBI.
Dave, just ensuring the integrity of our elections is not new in New Jersey, as the Lieutenant Governor said. I think it is a fact that threats to our election integrity have dramatically increased over the past several years. And we have responded, as my colleagues have mentioned, with increasing our the resources dedicated to this work. As I said, in 2022, we launched the first ever voter protection initiative in the state. This year, we have dedicated substantial resources above even what we've done in previous years to ensure that every vote can be counted. At a time when you look across the country, there are unprecedented attacks, unprecedented use of new technology to undermine our elections in ways that I think were probably unfathomable not too long ago. We are responding, and I, as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer, as the Secretary of State, as the Director of our Homeland Security apparatus, we're making clear that in New Jersey, those threats will not be tolerated.
Sure. Hi, Jennifer. Well, Jennifer, that's a fine question. And to your point, we hear about this on a national front. Director Duran had mentioned there aren't any credible threats at this present time leveled against any of our infrastructure or to our people. However, that is why we have been proactive. We have had the tabletop exercises, right, providing our local election officials the security drills and the necessary resources and information that would be required. And my team, and again, I have a phenomenal team, they sit down with not only the county folk going over the necessary safety protocols, at the same time, we liaise with the U.S. Homeland Security folk, with FBI, on the phones constantly, just making sure that everyone is aware situationally should an emergency situation comes and evolves. We understand that, these are the frontline workers of our democracy. These are civil servants. These are folk who just want to stand up our democracy. So we want to be proactive. We want to keep them safe. We want them to undergo the virtuals and the webinars so that they can spot and see things and call it in if necessary.
As I said, any form of intimidation or harassment during the voting process, including intimidation or harassment of poll workers, is illegal. And we prosecute that. And we're prepared to prosecute that. And I've issued guidance to all law enforcement officers in the state, all 40,000 or so, to make sure that everyone is aware of the role they play on and before Election Day to ensure that you can vote safely. And if you are one of the dignified public servants who stand up and serve as poll workers, who have unfortunately in other states seen, again, unprecedented attacks. These are the people who make the backbone of our democratic system. We will protect them too.
We covered it all. Any further questions? Yes.
I had a question about early in-person voting.
Sure.
I know it starts Saturday. It hasn't seemed like it's taken off in New Jersey the way it has like in this state, like say Georgia. I think last year it was like 7%. Do you any theories as to what's going on, why it hasn't caught on a little bit more here as opposed to other states?
Well, that's a good question. I always think of voters, becoming acclimated, right, to a different way of voting. You look back at vote by mail, right? When vote by mail first launched here in New Jersey, it was a small percentage, but we look now, right, we have about the estimated 550,000 already. That's about 51% of those who have requested to vote by mail. So this is why my team and I are really on the ground in partnership with our county, local officials, bringing out more awareness, letting everyone know, hey, there might be a situation that occurs on your end, November 5th. You might be at a vacation. You may not have voted by mail, but guess what? There are convenient locations within your county. Again, the AG takes his son to the zoo. I take our daughter to the library, where in the neighborhood where you can actually accomplish perhaps more than one task. So, we're getting the message out there that this is another safe, right, secure, and of course, flexible way. And the hope is throughout the years, voters will realize this and, make certain that they cast their ballots in person early. Okay. I don't think. Any other questions? Sure, ma'am.
Sorry. I know you talked specifically about you haven't had any cyber threats, nothing so far, I think, but I'm not sure about vote by mail has been going on for a little bit. Have you had any threats? I mean, I don't know what it would be, but like, has there been any problems with that reported so far this season?
Okay, I'll speak a bit about that, and then if you don't
Sure.
mind, Director Duran, the one thing I can say, ensuring up our vote-by-mail infrastructure, and of course, our secure ballot drop boxes, if that's what you're referring to. There's about 400 of those throughout the state. We wanted to make certain and gave our counties the guidance to make sure that they're secure. So with that being said, to my understanding at present, there has not been any credible incidences or anything to the effect of the secure mail drop boxes. I don't know if you want to.
And I will echo what the Lieutenant Governor said, same thing. We haven't had any threats that's credible or known.
Any further questions? Okay, everyone, remember it's election season, November 5th. If not, vote early, vote by mail, and thank you for your time.